Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Student Spotlight series, where we showcase some of the work our past students have done. Today, it is our pleasure to have with us Alex Hulianskyi. So, Alex, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what year of school you're in, and what course you've taken with CCIR?
Yeah, hello, my name is Alex. I'm 16. I study in a senior year of European Lyceum of Innovative Technologies. It's Kiev region, and I was participating in the course Computational Economics, and my professor was Daniel Cassis.
Mhm. So, was this course part of the Future Scholars program?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. So, how did you become interested in the program?
Last 2 years, I have been studying economics a lot. I won regional Olympiad and participated in national competitions. And I decided that beside my academic interest in winning Olympiads, I should also try to maintain some research activity, maybe to explore this opportunity in my future career. And I found a CCIR program in the internet that my friend recommended me it. So I decided to join and did it successfully.
That's great. So, how was the course structured, and what were the main things that you learned?
For me, the course was very intensive because we started it in the summer and we had to end it before the end. So sometimes we even had 4 classes during the week. However, we studied very fresh discipline, which is named network science. Beside my knowledge in economics, I had almost no knowledge in network science. And the professor had to explain us a lot of methods of this science. So, to be honest, it was difficult for me, but very exciting. And up to the end of the course, when I started writing my research paper, I knew a lot. And after all, I can say that structure is well because this intensive approach to teach us can give us maybe comprehensive view on the so fresh discipline and coding. I had almost no knowledge in coding before the course, but with help of the professor and our TA, now I even try coding myself.
So, can you say a little bit about what your research project topic was?
Title of my research paper is The Evolution of Global Gold and Copper Trade Networks. Especially, I examined them deeply, both studied similarities and what differentiates them.
Mhm. So, how did you choose that topic?
To be honest, almost up to the start of writing my research paper, I did not know my topic because I wanted to analyze some general processes in the modern economic markets. I wanted to analyze few, no, not maybe, few decades of commodity networks and analyze some similarities between them. But I understood that this point of view, first of all, it's too difficult to maintain so complex research and collect so much data. And Professor Vistay told me that. And secondly, I think it's much more valuable to know more, to gain deeper knowledge in one sphere. So I decided to investigate two commodities from one sector. It appeared to be gold and copper. Logical question, why? For me, um, it's logical because, first of all, gold and copper, as I said, in one sector, and both are metals. Logically, they should have some similarities. However, they have different purposes of demand. Demand for gold mostly goes from banking sector and investment, but copper, on the other hand, is used in the production sector. So I wanted to investigate how this difference in demand influences on both networks and what differences they have because of this um, difference in demand.
Mhm. So, what ended up being your key insights or takeaways at the end of the project?
It appeared that, as expected, copper has um, strong correlation with world GDP and production, and gold is much more stable. However, it also appears that gold has a lot of hubs, for example, Switzerland or UAE or United States, and copper network has only few key players like China and Zambia, for example. And as I investigated by different metrics like criticality, which measures how important the country is in the network, or robustness is resilience of network to disruptions, it appeared that copper is much less robust than gold network because of these hubs. So I can conclude that the role of hubs is essential in maintaining strong network, first of all. And second is deterioration of situation in the gold network when the role of United Arab Emirates started increasing last years. I saw that robustness of gold trade network also started deteriorated. So maybe I expected on the start of the research to investigate differences in demand, and my research appeared to study role of the hubs.
Mhm. So can you say a little bit about your methodology, and maybe in particular, like how are you measuring the robustness of networks?
Um, as I said, my methodology, no, I employed methods of network science, and I had three main methods. First of all, is criticality. It measures how country is important in the network by comparison network with this country and without this country. Second is robustness index. It measures how a network can how resilient is network by deleting some percent of the most critical nodes or countries in this network, and calculating its efficiency. Efficiency is how fast trade shares between countries. And a second part of my research was dedicated to interconnectedness. Interconnectedness was measured by Louvain algorithm. That is algorithm that divides network on the blocks and investigates how strong are they connected, so density between them. And I compared interconnectedness with the efficiency, robustness, and criticality measures.
Mhm. So where did you get your data?
I had a few sources from my professor to choose. For example, Harvard data or some open sources, but I decided to use maybe the most popular is UN Comtrade data. So that's all.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just curious. So then I guess if your conclusion is that the copper trade network is not as robust as the gold network, if I'm understanding correctly, maybe this is beyond the scope of your research, but I wonder, do you have any thoughts about what the sort of, I guess, broader kind of social or political implications of that might be? I guess what do we do with that information?
Yes, I think that results of my research are more global. Generally, I can um, conclude that if we take different, not only commodity, but for example, services networks, and study how well they are distributed by concentration of trade, we will see that a concentration of trade in one country or a few key players lead us to deterioration of resilience, what means that if shocks appear in the network, it can destroy it almost completely. So I think that my results can lead in, for example, international bodies like IMF and other organizations to maintain, I think, better international trade policy and do not accept this concentration of trade in critical countries.
So, well, it might be in the interest of the sort of international community as a whole for trade networks to be more robust. is it the case perhaps that some countries would prefer to have a less robust trade network where they're a more critical player or they're a key hub? Which is to say, you mentioned that China, you said China and Zambia, right? Um,
Yes,
like
Zambia,
China,
China as demander, yes.
yeah. So like China is at a key supplier or seller of all kinds of rare earth minerals, right? And many other sort of rare materials. So this, on the one hand, I guess seems like it might lead to a less robust trade network because China is this sort of dominates, I guess, various different trade networks. But this might be to China's own advantage, right? Or would that not be the case? I'm just trying to sort of.
In my case, China in copper network, it was demander, so and Zambia was supplier. Of course, it's logical that the most critical countries that have a lot of advantages of being so critical to the network, they do not want to change the situation and to have all benefits of the situation. However, from the robust and resilient network, win all other participants. Consequently, maybe joining in blocks, which um, like antagonists do not support the situation and try to employ some new trade policy against these countries seems logical because they will win. So this balance should be found in other case few decades and new shock will really destroy network.
Mhm. So I guess the argument then would be even a sort of totally self-interested actor in the international system, if they were really behaving rationally, they would prefer trade policies that lead to a more robust network, even if it
Yes.
means that they might not play as critical of a role in that network.
Yes, but to be honest, my research indicates that last maybe 15 years, globalization is has slowed down. So with new tariff war between USA and China and dividing all the world on blocks, it is difficult to say how robust will be further networks in our future. And of course, we will see. I am confident some shocks which will lead to strong fluctuation of prices. When I say destroying of network, I do not mean that all trade falls. I mean that fluctuation of prices will be so strong that it will not um, we will not be able to maintain a normal trade between countries. So it will lead us to maybe new recession or some shocks, as I said.
Yeah, that's an extremely interesting thought. Yeah, and observation that globalization has slowed down. So I guess, how are you evaluating that? I mean, I suppose you're using network science to sort of make that conclusion, right?
Yes, and to be honest, as investigated, a lot of research last years shows that globalization is really slowing. So
Mhm.
it's under my scrutiny.
Mhm. And would you say that generally speaking, globalization is a good thing, at least for network stability or robust?
Yes, of course, because globalization is accelerating efficiency of the network and trade. Consequently, prices can share in the network faster, which leads to more robust network. So yes, globalization is good, of course.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that it's easy to see, I suppose, how research that shows in a kind of clear and quantitative way what the benefits of globalization are or the dangers of isolationism might be would be extremely valuable, especially as a guide to sort of international trade policy. Do you have any thoughts on what kind of further research you might be interested in doing in this area, or if you were to keep working on this paper, what sort of a next step would be?
My paper is ready, and I'm trying to edit it to publish in some journals. Um, to say about further research, I have two spheres. First of all, I am really interested now after my course in network science, and in my research, when I employed Levin algorithm, I found a very interesting coding and computational moment that when I invest weight, weight is all trade, import and export from the country. Levin algorithm did not change division on blocks, and blocks stayed the same. And it's a very rare, I think, accident, and no one now investigated that, and even my professor did not know how to explain this. So I think I need further research in this sphere. And second is studying other trade networks to explore, because I said earlier that if we study different trade networks, we will have the same results. I only suppose this, I'm not sure, and I think it's better to study different commodities to understand if really we have problems with globalization and deterioration of situation, or it is just very precise accident like in copper trade network.
So do you feel like this program has prepared you well to do research in the future?
Yes, 100%. It was my first research paper with CCIR, and then I started writing other research paper in my school with my teacher. And of course, I cannot evaluate how CCIR was helpful for me as first experience, and maybe I even want to repeat it again.
Mhm. So what do you feel like was you mentioned that it was your first time writing a research paper. What do you feel like the biggest challenge was in that process, or maybe what had the steepest learning curve?
Besides all the studying, which was, as I said, difficult but interesting because of my professor, writing a research when all course ends and you have only yourself and writing your research paper, maybe to organize your thoughts and write them precisely in your paper. For me, it was the most challenging process.
Mhm. And can you say a little bit about maybe the support that you received from your professor or your TA in that process?
Yes, I think my professor, one of the best teachers who could teach me in this course, because I had a lot of office hours with my professor and TA, and sometimes we even had problems which we couldn't solve for weeks because it's coding in Python and a lot of data. When we have, for example, 60,000 of rows, it's difficult to understand where is the mistake. But my professor always was glad to help me, and he even found for me some solutions to my problems when he did not know the sphere completely. So of course, help of my professor was invaluable.
And if you were going to speak to someone who is coming into this program without any experience doing original research, do you have any advice that you would give them, or is there anything that you wish that you had known before starting?
I think I would say just enjoy the process and try to study as much as you can there.
And do you have any other final thoughts about your experience with the program?
I just maybe want to say that this research helped me to understand that I want to dedicate my future for scholar career. And from this words, you can understand how valuable it is for me.
Yeah, I mean that says a great deal. I'm very glad to hear that. Yeah, I really enjoyed hearing about your research and your experience. It makes me want to read up on network science. It sounds enormously interesting and also very, uh, I guess, very important for thinking about the present sort of international situation. So, yeah, thank you so much for sharing your experience and talking about your work. Um,
Thank you very much for having me.